What we'll do now is we'll dive in more specifically to the territory of emotion and loneliness, um, which will help us reflect on our own observer, our own meaning-making frame. Very often, we have allergies to emotions that we don't like. We want to be, joyous. We want to be happy. We want to feel at ease, all those kinds of things. And then when anger comes around, or when loneliness comes around, or some fear or something like that, it's common that we'll sort of want to distance ourselves or push it away. And from the context of wholeness, the disposition of wholeness is to lean towards everything in a way that's including whatever's arising in our experience as a part of something deeply sacred. And so we're going to focus on some specific aspects of emotional intelligence because, like any of the petals in that dynamic coherency, emotions are a predisposition to action. If I am in a disposition of anger, I'm going to move in a certain way. I'm going to shake people's hands in a certain way. I'm going to make certain choices. That would be different than if I was coming from a place of aliveness or passion or something like that. So there are many facets to the emotional landscape. We're just going to focus on three today. And the first is sensation. So one primary aspect of emotion is sensation. We can take away all the labels, we can take away all the narratives around it, and it's just there's a sense in our body. You might not even know how to name it. Sometimes we have emotions, we don't really know what to call them. So this is one territory of emotion. Now, in addition to sensation, another aspect, a key facet of emotions in general is impulse. So let's say I have a tightness in my chest. Okay, so there's a sensation associated with this, but then there's also an impulse. Maybe I'm not going to leave my house because the impulse is to contract and withdraw. Maybe the impulse is to attack. Then we can start to see how, okay, there's this in this domain of emotion, there's a sensation, and then there's an impulse. And when that impulse makes its way into behavior, now all of a sudden I'm moving in a new way. I'm interacting in a particular way. So there's sensation, there's impulse, and then there's the third facet that we'll explore today, which is narrative, which is narrative. So I have a sensation in my body, there's a particular impulse, and then I start having a linguistic process that unfolds inside my own head, right? Let's say I feel the sensation of sadness. The sensation of sadness causes me to want to withdraw. And then I start having narratives that come up related to that experience. Maybe there are conversations about myself, inner dialogue about myself, inner dialogue about others. Okay, so with that as a bit of an overview, now what we can do is take a look specifically at loneliness. Whether you experience loneliness a lot or a little, I want to just invite to check in with loneliness in yourself now. And what are some of the sensations, whether you're experiencing it in this moment or whether you can remember a time in your life when you've been lonely? What are some of the sensations that you experience? Now, what about the impulse? What are some of the common impulses, either that you experience in yourself right now, you've experienced in the past, or you've experienced with others? What about the narratives? When you've felt lonely or you've been with others who feel lonely, what are some of the narratives that are produced? So we can see here that emotions aren't just a sensation. They aren't just an impulse. They aren't just narrative, but they're all of these things. It's part of uh, our emotional ecology. And there can be great value in starting to differentiate this stuff out because then I could bring in practices to change how I'm speaking inside myself, or I could do things to transform those sensations or transform those impulses. Now, there's one more piece here. One of the things that we teach here at Newfield, it comes from many wisdom traditions sort of hold the view that emotions themselves are sort of a gateway into deeper wisdom, and that there's a positive intention within every emotion. If we look at loneliness as something that is trying to point us towards a deeper possibility, what is it trying to point us towards? Some of the central themes to loneliness that it's inviting us into are often around things like connection. It's pointing to us that there is a deeper possibility for connection, for intimacy, for deep love. And loneliness is often the thing that lets us know. Now we have the opportunity here to go in a couple different directions. We can say, I don't like loneliness. I don't want to feel this. So I'm going to go up in my head. I'm going to start moving really fast. I'm going to keep busy. I'm going to do a bunch of things on the surface to try to get away from that nagging ache. That's one option. So we can see here, if I do that, my observer is taking on a disposition of moving away from loneliness that then leads me to move in the world in a certain way, which then creates a particular world. On the other hand, given what we've sort of parsed out here, I can also turn towards that experience of loneliness, understanding that it's trying to guide me to a deeper possibility, towards love, towards connection, towards intimacy, towards belonging, many of these things that you've mentioned. And in doing so, that creates a transformative process in the way that I'm making meaning. So now I'm not just trying to keep myself busy. I'm going deeper within myself and I'm awakening to love in a new way, to connection in a new way within me. And then now that is going to make its way out into my behavior and my interactions in a different way. And that is going to create a different reality. It's going to create a different world.